It's important to talk to you about the journey when it comes to change intelligence. And we're going to jump back in time. We're going to jump in our time machine to the 1800s and 1900 to early 1900s. When I was at university, I heard about the Henry Ford, Frederick Taylor methodologies, the journeys that they went through. It was the industrial age, the steam engine assembly line mentality where employees were considered cogs in a wheel. And Henry Ford was an innovator. He brought together some different disciplines to be able to look at efficiency. Efficiency was a big driver during that age. Can you deliver for less? And in that landscape, from a change management and project management theory perspective, there were some early principles that were rolled out around efficiency, work breakdown efficiency, assembly line efficiency. And then the early concepts of change were about resistance in the workplace. And I've noticed that I haven't removed some text there, but essentially it talks about how you can get your employees on that journey. And it was very much an autocratic way. It was I say and you do. Now jump to the mid 1900s to the 2000s, and of course we start to raise our awareness a little bit because of the introduction of technology. We moved into the information age, and I remember as a young 20-something when the email and internet concept landed across my work desk, thinking this will never take off. We had one dedicated email box. The head office was also doing that. Typically, we'd been using fax machines. Yes, fax machines. Some of you may not even know what they are, but we were using very rudimentary tech at that point in time. And this whole concept of having an email address was foreign. I was a naysayer, saying it would never stick, yet it did, and it caused a huge amount of globalization. All of a sudden, we were getting all of this information off this Internet of Things, and I love the quote they've put in there about they're getting information off the internet is like, you know, taking a drink from a fire hydrant. It was a huge amount of information to try and work through. Telecommunications started to form up, and the effect of globalization meant that we were becoming more connected than ever. Things started to speed up. Leadership theories during this time, transactional leadership, situational leadership. So we're talking about reward, loyalty, how does that work with employees, and talking about adaptability when it came to situational leadership. How do you guide your teams through certain situations? Change management, project management theory, waterfall methods started to form up. We also had the concept of critical path, like how do you get from A to B in the fastest way. Pinbox started forming up as well. So Lewin's change model, the freeze, unfreeze model, and the Kotter's eight-step method started coming into play. And that was because tech was really driving change, and there was a need to try and change more efficiently. Come to the year 2000 and to now, which I can't believe is 2025. It's crazy when we looked at the change of stepped into the new year this year. I was like 2025, who would have thought? But essentially, the digital age has really then created change at speed in a faster way. Social media has been introduced, of course. We've got smartphones now. We have a computer in our hand at all times. We're connected. We're more connected than ever. And the leadership theory is a transformation. Like, how do you lead for transformation? How can you be a servant leader? And what is your EQ? What does your emotional intelligence landscape look like? And of course, we have agile because this speed concept is very prevalent in all organizations. How do we team better from a Scrum perspective? And then we have the ADKAR and ProSci model and human-centered design, which is just starting to really come into most organizations, but still in its early stages. It has been in tech for quite a while. So now it brings us to today, and what you can see between the dotted line and the other bold line is that employers and employees are starting to diverge in their expectations. There's just a variation happening. And a lot of that has to do with social media, with the opening up of our worlds more globally. We are more connected than ever. And in some ways, that can mean we're more disconnected than ever. We have multi-generations in the workforce, and that in and of itself is creating different points of tension. And there's a lot of responsibility happening for certain diversity groups within an organization. That can also mean they have different expectations. So employers and employee roads are diverging. There is this concept of a need for self-awareness and to really improve on and focus on your own self-awareness and unpacking your own belief systems so that you can be a better worker, better leader, and line up with purpose when it comes to the workplace. Concept of psychological safety because of the rise of mental health issues that can, I think, have arisen because we're more connected than ever. And this concept of psychological safety, where there's more obligation on an employer to ensure that they are taking care of their people, is also part of that expectation, that response to different expectation. And employers and employees definitely want to start to align purpose across an organization where employees then feel engaged. With AI on the horizon, if not already in your organization, this is the next wave of change, and it is important to counterbalance that with a sense of self so that the mental health issues or any sort of over stress does not happen to employees. Thus, the need for change intelligence and for change intelligence to start growing, where you do have that self-awareness as well as how your working and your alignment to purpose starts to intersect. Okay, so let's get into the change intelligence framework because connected thinking sits within this framework, which is why we're talking about it today. This is about being able to join the dots in an ever-changing landscape. So the one you used to be death and taxes were the two certainties in life. It would be death, taxes, change. Actually, change would probably be the first certainty in life. Things are never staying the same. And in fact, organizations are changing faster and faster and needing to, but they'll either change well or they won't. So to give you more control over the circumstance and the ability to respond to that, that's where connected thinking comes into it, a framework in which you can start to join the dots to be able to self-manage change better. Growth and grit. So this will be the focus on the next webinar session that we have, but growth and grit is being able to reflect during change and see all change as an opportunity to grow. And then also aligning purpose and so that you can build perseverance. Like grit is the concept of digging in because you believe in something. You keep moving forward when you feel like you can't, and that's through will and determination. And so growth and grit are both really necessary in this ever-changing landscape. Communication, giving, receiving feedback, it's more than that. It's about how to engage and empower and how you are doing that for yourself, but also for your teams and also contributing to your organization in that. We'd have the emotional awareness, which is understanding the drivers of our emotional responses. So your emotional response that you have to change is driven by whether it's a belief, whether it's a prior experience. And then as part of that, rather than reacting, is actually responding to change. So raising your emotional awareness is really critical. Connection, authentic connection with people, which can be hard for some to become vulnerable to allow authentic connection to happen, which then, of course, links into a bit of emotional awareness and self-awareness. The teaming concept in connection is so powerful of building trust, and some part of that is empathy and kindness, where you have each other's backs, where you are heading to a common goal, where there is a fundamental respect. And then curiosity, so the healthy inquiry, and that has to do with asking questions with the intent to learn. And that is the genuine curiosity, which can lead to reflection. It can lead to those aha moments so that you can once again adapt, respond to change more effectively.